Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates and notifications.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Slooth Crime Stories. Today, we delve into a mystifying case that revolves around a young woman who participated in a beauty pageant and mysteriously disappeared along with her mother. The woman's father was the last person to see her, and he naturally became the suspect of the police. Just when people thought everything was done by the woman's father, something happened that made the truth confusing. This case is very famous in France and has attracted people's close attention and heated discussion. People want to know whether the disappearance of the mother and daughter has anything to do with the man. This is the Benitez Mother and Daughter Disappearance case. The story takes place in Perpignan, a city in southern France, which borders the Mediterranean coast to the east and the Pyrenees Mountains to the south. It is the capital of the Eastern Pyrenees province of the Languedoc-Roussillon region. Perpignan is an ancient city with more than 1,000 years of history. There are ancient religious buildings, old villages, and a blue coastline around Perpignan. It is a famous tourist destination in Europe. Today's story takes place here. The protagonist of the story is called Allison Benitez, born in May 1994 in Montpellier, southern France. She was 19 years old this year. She lived in a family that had no worries about food and clothing. Her father, Francisco Benitez, was 50 years old and a Spanish-born French officer. Her mother, Marie-Josée Benitez, was 53 years old and a housewife. She was a very beautiful woman who wanted to be a hairdresser. She was cheerful and loved by her parents, who never missed any of her activities and cared for her very much. Whenever she wanted to go out, her father Francisco would often put down his work and take her where she wanted to go. 18-year-old Allison was beautiful and graceful and had a stable job as a hairdresser. One day she told her parents that she wanted to participate in a beauty contest. She said that she dreamed of becoming a dazzling star on the screen. Her parents naturally supported her idea. She took the competition very seriously and quit her job as a hairdresser in order to devote herself to it. A girl who loves to smile won't have bad luck, right? She was considered to have great potential by the organizers of the event because of her outstanding appearance. She also attracted many people's attention and became one of the most popular contestants. The beauty contest she participated in was a local event called Miss Languedoc-Roussillon. Languedoc-Roussillon was an old region in southern France, usually known as the south of France. Before the competition, several winning contestants could participate in the national competition of Miss France as local representatives. Allison, who was new to the scene, achieved a good result of 4th place in the competition. After that, she got a lot of commercial shooting opportunities, and her dream of becoming a star was becoming a reality step by step. A year later, 19-year-old Allison won the runner-up of the Miss Roussillon beauty contest again. A few months later, the new Miss Languedoc-Roussillon beauty contest began. Last year she got 4th place. Allison's parents have always been her staunch supporters, and they also participated in it, helping Allison control her weight, maintain her condition, and do some necessary training before the competition. The family prepared well for this year's competition, aiming to win the championship. However, on the afternoon of the day before the competition day, Allison suddenly disappeared for some unknown reason. Her mother Marie-Josée also disappeared with her. What happened that day? What secrets are hidden behind the scenes? Next, let's go back to July 25, 2013. It was a Thursday. Early in the morning, a man and a woman came to the Perpignan police station. The man was 50-year-old Francisco. He said that his daughter and wife, 19-year-old Allison, and 53-year-old Marie-Josée, had been missing for 11 days, and he could not contact them in any way. He hoped that the police would help investigate. At the police station, standing next to Francisco was his stepdaughter Lydia. She was Marie-Josée's daughter from her previous marriage. Lydia said that her mother sent her a text message at 5:17 p.m. 11 days ago, saying, "I made a difficult decision, but it's better this way. I'm going to Toulouse with Allison." After that, she could not contact her mother again. In fact, on July 17th, a week ago, Allison's friend Alexander had already come to the police station to report the case. Alexander told the police that Allison left home on Sunday morning, July 14th, to go to Calabria in the east for a 3-day rehearsal for the beauty contest. There were 12 contestants in the competition this year. Before the official competition began, each contestant had to participate in weekly activities, such as learning and performing. After the rehearsal activity that morning, Allison said that her father Francisco would pick her up in the afternoon and take her home. She had to participate in other activities of the competition the next day and needed to go back and do some preparation work. In the afternoon, many staff members saw Allison get into her father's car, and some people met them at a nearby supermarket. The next day, Allison did not attend the day's activities. This caught the attention of the organizers of the competition, who were surprised by Allison's absence. They knew that Allison valued this competition very much and would not miss any of it. The organizers of the event tried to contact Allison, but the phone was unreachable, so they contacted her friend Alexandra. But Alexander said he could not contact Allison either, and her phone was always unanswered. Another day passed, and at 10:30 in the morning, Alexander still could not contact his friend Allison, so he went to Allison's home. It was a 3-story house, located in the northwest of Perpignan. He knocked on the door, but no one answered. Just as he was about to turn around and leave, a window on the upper floor opened, and a bare-chested man stuck his head out of the window. He still had water on his body, and looked like he had just taken a shower. This man was Allison's father, Francisco. Alexandra downstairs said that he had not been able to contact Allison for the past 2 days, so he came over to see if she was at home. Francisco upstairs said that his daughter Allison and his mother Marie-Josée were together. They went to Toulouse 2 days ago, which is a city 200 kilometers northwest of Perpignan. Francisco then said that maybe it was because the mother and daughter wanted to enjoy their vacation better, so they turned off their phones. At that time, Alexander felt that something was wrong. His intuition told him that something bad had happened to her. Since participating in the beauty contest, Allison had been updating her status on Twitter and Facebook frequently every day. However, since July 14th, 2 days ago, Allison had not updated her status on social media. Alexander tossed and turned at home and could not sleep. He did not sleep all night. The more he thought about it, the more he felt something was wrong. Early the next morning, Alexander went to the police station to report the case. He explained the situation he had found to the police, but the police did not think there was any problem at that time. The reason was that Allison's father Francisco had clearly stated that his daughter and mother had gone to Toulouse for a vacation, so the police did not file a case that day. It was not until 8 days later, when Francisco and his stepdaughter Lydia came to the police station to report the case together, that the police confirmed the disappearance of the mother and daughter. Francisco said that he and his wife had a bad relationship and had been separated for a long time. Although they lived under the same roof, they were not in the same room. On July 14th, Francisco had a big quarrel with his wife Marie-Josée. Thought his wife was just being stubborn and that they would come back in a few days. But he later found out that their daily necessities had been taken away. Then he learned from his stepdaughter Lydia that they had gone to Toulouse. Francisco then said that a week ago, a man named Alexander came to his home looking for Allison, but he didn't pay much attention to it. But after nearly 2 weeks, they still didn't come back. During this time, he had tried to contact them many times, but he could not reach them. Francisco felt that something was wrong, so he went to the police station to report the case. After receiving the report, the police immediately started to track the phone signals of Allison and Marie-Josée. The last time they appeared was on the afternoon of July 14th. Allison's phone had no call records after she left Canet-en-Roussillon, where she was preparing for the competition. Her mother, Marie-Josée, sent a farewell text message to her daughter Lydia at 5:17 p.m. that day. After that, there was no news from them. The phone signal appeared again the next day, on the morning of July 15th. The phone signal appeared in the area of the barracks where Francisco worked. The phone signal disappeared again after a brief appearance. This key information made the police suspect that the 2 missing persons may not have gone to Toulouse at all. Since Allison and her mother Marie-Josée did not have a driver's license, the possibility of them driving away was basically ruled out. There was a train station in Perpignan, 2.7 kilometers away from Allison's home. The investigators checked the surveillance videos along the way from Allison's home to the train station, but did not find any traces of them. Their bank accounts also had no consumption records, and there was no sign of life. The police had reason to suspect that Allison and her mother may not have gone out at all, but were killed by someone. The mother and daughter disappeared. 16 days later, the police released the information of the case, hoping that someone would provide clues. The missing person was Allison Benitez, 19 years old, 1.74 meters tall, slim, with brown skin, light brown hair, and eyes, wearing blue jeans and a black vest when she disappeared. The other missing person is Marie-Josée Benitez, 53 years old, 1.67 meters tall, always wearing black clothes. Allison was a local beauty star, and her disappearance with her mother sparked a lot of discussion. The local media also began to follow up on the case. The relatives of the missing persons mobilized their friends and family to look for them in the streets and woods of Perpignan. They distributed flyers, posted notices, and asked passers-by. Her friend Alexander also posted information related to the case online, hoping to find the mother and daughter. In France, tens of thousands of missing cases occur every year, some of which are voluntary disappearances. As the investigation deepened, Francisco's series of actions aroused the suspicion of the police, and they focused their investigation on him. Francisco had a mistress named Marie-Thérèse Garcia, 39 years old, a security officer at the French consulate in Barcelona, Spain. She was married and had 2 children. She established a relationship with Francisco 3 months before the disappearance case. 2 days before the disappearance case, Francisco went to Barcelona to meet his mistress Marie. They were together. As the clue was revealed, Francisco made the headlines of almost all the media. Some media speculated that Allison might have accidentally learned of her father's affair and then told her mother. After a quarrel with her father, he accidentally killed her mother. To cover up the truth, he also killed his daughter. As more and more media reported, the matter spread throughout France and became a topic of conversation for people. What no one expected was that Francisco was involved in other cases. A caller from the southern French city of Nimes said that his sister Simone de Oliveira Alves had been missing for 9 years and had never been settled. He suspected that his sister's disappearance was not an accident. Simone was pregnant with her boyfriend's child when she disappeared. Her boyfriend was none other than Francisco. Simone, a Brazilian, was 30 years old when she disappeared, divorced, and taking care of 4 children. She worked as a trainer at a bar in Nimes, where she met Francisco. At that time, Francisco was sent to work in Nimes by the barracks, and they started dating and living together. A soldier looked down and saw that Francisco, wearing his uniform, had hanged himself. The incident was estimated to have occurred in the early morning because the soldiers were sleeping at that time. A suicide note from Francisco was found at the scene of the toilet, in which he claimed that his wife and daughter's disappearance had nothing to do with him. He was innocent. He could not bear the various accusations against him, so he chose to end his life to prove his innocence. In addition, Francisco also left a video, which was filmed a day before, with the help of his stepdaughter Lydia. In the video, Francisco looked pale, scruffy, and very haggard. His cheeks were sunken as if he had lost a lot of weight. Francisco insisted that he was innocent with a heavy Spanish accent. He trembled and said, "We are a family, just like any other family, with ups and downs. Those who really know me know that Allison is my life. Now there are a lot of uncertainties, and I have a lot of different things in my head. I hold on, but I'm about to explode." At the end of the video, Francisco emphasized that he hoped his wife and daughter would be found soon. The stepdaughter Lydia, who participated in the shooting, also choked up several times in the video. She did not believe that her stepfather was involved and thought he was wronged. In addition, Francisco also sent emails to some relatives and friends before his death, telling them that he was in pain. Francisco Benitez was born in December 1963 in Algeciras, Spain. His father was a medical assistant and his mother was a housewife. They had 4 children. Francisco was the youngest and was very loved. For various reasons, Francisco's life changed later. His parents sent him to a Catholic boarding school in a monastery, which bordered Morocco across the Strait of Gibraltar from Algeciras. He did not return to his home in Algeciras until he celebrated his 20th birthday. At the age of 23, Francisco joined the Spanish army. A year later, he crossed the border and joined the French Foreign Legion as a private. In the Legion, there were 150 soldiers of different nationalities. At the age of 25, Francisco met Marie-Josée, a waitress at a port bar, while on duty in Marseille, a city in southeastern France. She was a single mother with 4 children. Francisco often visited the bar just to see Marie-Josée. He would bring snacks and toys to her 4 children, and they liked him very much. They later called him father. As time went by, the two got together. Marie-Josée became pregnant, and the child was Allison. Francisco loved this girl very much, and they lived a happy life in Marseille. At that time, Francisco and Marie-Josée were not married. 9 years later, 34-year-old Francisco was sent to Nimes, northwest of Marseille, to perform a task. There he met 23-year-old Simone. She was also a single mother with 4 children. Francisco was deeply attracted by Simone's passionate and unrestrained personality, and he began to wander between Marseille and Nimes. He had problems between the two cities, but neither girlfriend knew about the other's existence. He lived a double life for 7 years, and he was bound to get into trouble sooner or later. One day, 7 years later, his official girlfriend Marie-Josée found out about Francisco's affair, and they had a fierce quarrel. Francisco's relationship with his other girlfriend Simone also had a crisis, and they often argued. In November of that year, Simone was hospitalized for illness, and a few days later, the news of Simone's disappearance came out. 2 days after Simone disappeared, Francisco returned to Marie-Josée's side. He promised his girlfriend and children that he would not make mistakes again. Marie-Josée chose to forgive him. 2 years later, they got married. At the age of 47, Francisco was promoted and moved to Perpignan with his family. He wanted to settle down there. 2 years later, on Christmas Eve, Allison accidentally discovered her father's affair while browsing his phone. She told her mother about it. Marie-Josée was furious and had a big fight with Francisco. This time they fought very fiercely and even proposed a divorce. Francisco was angry with his wife's attitude and said that the reason he had an affair was because his wife had not had sex with him for more than a year. After that, Francisco moved out of the house and lived in the barracks. To avoid arguing with his wife, he would only go home when his daughter missed him. As for the affair partner, he broke off contact with her after leaving home. A year later, Francisco met his mistress, a 39-year-old married woman named Marie-Thérèse Garcia, while working in Spain. She had 2 children. Francisco planned to divorce his wife and then leave France to be with his mistress in Spain. 3 months later, he had another quarrel with his wife in France, and then the mother and daughter disappearance case happened. After the incident, Francisco acted very normally, as if nothing had happened. He even brought his mistress Marie-Thérèse home 5 days after the incident, and spent the night with her. A week later, under pressure from his wife's relatives and friends, Francisco went to the police station and reported the disappearance of his wife and daughter. He had told his stepdaughter Lydia that he had a fight with his wife, so his wife took his daughter to Toulouse. Francisco's love for his daughter and wife was so strong that he'd rather die than see harm come to them. 2 weeks after their disappearance, he asked his stepdaughter Lydia to help him create a video to post online. Facing the camera, Francisco passionately declared his innocence, distancing himself from any involvement in Allison and Marie-Josée's vanishing. He expressed his anguish and declared his intention to end his life as proof of his innocence. That night, he sought solace at a relative's house, but declined their offer to stay. At midnight, he returned to his barracks. Exhausted, he called his mistress Marie-Thérèse at 3:30 a.m., sharing a photo to ease her concerns. Consumed by worry, Marie-Thérèse pleaded with him not to take any drastic action. Francisco sobbed on the phone, repeating how much he loved his daughter Allison, emphasizing to those who knew her the depth of his affection. After the call ended at 4 o'clock in the morning, Francisco hanged himself in the barracks toilet. 3 days later, Marie-Thérèse received a package that Francisco had sent before his death. Inside, there was a purple scarf and a handwritten note that said, "You will understand later. I love you." Marie-Thérèse could not understand Francisco's behavior. They were about to start a new life, but Francisco left like this, which made her feel very regretful and sad. Marie-Thérèse always believed that Francisco was innocent, but the police did not think so. they were still collecting evidence of Francisco's crime. Time went back to 3 days after the disappearance case when Francisco suddenly decided to move his refrigerator to the barracks for some reason. He invited a comrade to help him, and they moved it together. The comrade came to visit again and saw bloodstains in the sink. After that, Francisco bought a lot of disinfectants and corrosive products in the store. There was a gap of several days between the disappearance of the mother and daughter and Francisco's report to the police. Theoretically, he had enough time to commit the crime and clean up the scene. 5 days after the disappearance case, his mistress Marie-Josée came to Francisco's home. During that time, she smelled a foul odor, as if it came from outside the window. Francisco said at the time that the smell came from the neighbor's trash can. The police believed that the smell did not come from the neighbor, but from the garage on the first floor of the house. The garage may have been the first crime scene. During investigations, a peculiar fluorescent reaction was observed in certain areas. Technicians discovered traces of blood under Allison's bed, the missing person. In late August, the police visited the barracks where Francisco worked to gather information. One soldier disclosed that nearly 30 sheets had gone missing from the barracks the previous month. Witnesses had also seen Francisco washing carpets and sheets with detergent in the barracks laundry room in late July. Francisco claimed it was due to accidentally spilling blood while defrosting meat. Suspicion arose when investigators found body parts wrapped in sheets that matched those sold at the barracks. These components were extracted from the barracks washing machine and the refrigerator Francisco moved from his home. Francisco's driving records indicated he had covered 5,000 kilometers in the 3 weeks following his family's disappearance until his suicide. Police retrieved his phone's location history, revealing his presence in Leucate, a seaside resort near Perpignan, multiple times at night. This prompted a 3-day search operation in the area. They searched the pine forest, the lake and the coast, but still found nothing. They guessed that Francisco might have thrown his wife and daughter into the ruins of a sewage treatment plant in the area, and then dissolved them with some chemical reagent. After monitoring the wastewater, the police could not find any evidence. The technicians checked Francisco's computer and found that he was a master of time management. Francisco not only wandered between his wife and many mistresses, but also frequented various nightclubs. In the areas where Francisco had worked, there were 2 cases that were suspected to be related to him, in addition to the disappearance of his ex-girlfriend Simone. The victim was Sandra Martin, 21 years old, Brazilian. She was the mother of 2 children. On a night in January 1999, she had a quarrel with her husband. Then she told her husband that she was going to spend the night at a hotel. She left her home in Tarascon-sur-Ariège and then disappeared. 2 months later, a fisherman found a woman with vital signs in the river a few kilometers from Sandra's home. It was confirmed that she was the missing person. The forensic doctor believed that she died of drowning. Sandra's husband became a suspect and was charged with murder, but he was acquitted by the court. After that, Sandra's husband devoted himself to finding out the truth. After some investigation, he came up with 2 possibilities: drowning or suicide. But he did not believe that his wife would do either of these things. Sandra had a good friend named Simone, and Simone's boyfriend at that time was Francisco. In 1999, Francisco was stationed in the barracks of Castanet-Tolosan in Aude, which was only an hour's drive from Sandra's home in Tarascon-sur-Ariège. Some people thought that Sandra's fate had something to do with Francisco. There was another case. In May 2009, on the A9 highway, a Brazilian woman was killed in a camper van where she received customers. The woman had tear marks on her neck and died of suffocation. Francisco was in a nearby barracks at that time. Despite the police's best efforts, the case remained unsolved. The misfortunes of 3 young Brazilian women in the area were more or less related to Francisco. However, no one has been prosecuted until today. With Francisco's death, the truth is no longer verifiable. As for whether Francisco was involved in the disappearance of his wife and daughter, the police believed that based on the clues found in the victim's home, it was very likely that he killed his wife and daughter and then destroyed their bodies. To this, Francisco's stepdaughter Lydia said that the traces of detergent found in the washing machine might have been left by blood on the clothes accidentally, and there was nothing strange about it. She always believed that her stepfather was innocent, so she ended her life in grief and indignation. To this day, the disappearance of Allison and Marie-Josée is still a mystery. No one knows where they went, no one knows if they are still alive. Allison was participating in the Miss Reading Aloud contest of Lu Xun's works at that time. After she disappeared, a series of incredible things happened. The beauty contest officially ended on August 11th. Allison had a good friend who was the runner-up of the previous contest and also participated in this year's contest. But 9 hours after the contest ended, she was found to have committed suicide at home for unknown reasons. This time point was when Allison and her mother disappeared. Nearly 2 months later, it was more than a month after Francisco killed himself. Strangely enough, this year's winner, Norma Julia, was stripped of her title a few days after winning because of a nude photo scandal. Looking at the whole story, I believe many people will believe that the killer is Francisco. The reason is that so many coincidences are unlikely to be concentrated on one person so densely. He had a motive, time, and a very reasonable logic of action. However, when we remove all the emotional aspects and start from pure rationality, the evidence seems insufficient to prove that Francisco is the killer. The court never determined who the killer was. If reasoning alone can change people's views, is there such a possibility? Francisco may have been involved in previous cases, but he did not cause the disappearance of the mother and daughter. Allison was participating in a beauty contest at the time, attracting attention from thousands of people. She attached great importance to this contest and had a chance to win. Then she accidentally learned about the dark side of the beauty contest and felt very depressed. She told her mother about it, which led to their deaths later. After the incident, people's focus was only on one person, and that was Francisco. And that was exactly what the real killer wanted. He took advantage of the fact that Francisco and his wife had conflicts and successfully directed the blame to him, while the real killer was able to get away completely. If that was the case, it would be a truly perfect crime. I think so. That's all. Thank you for watching.
Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates and notifications.